Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Two quick programming announcements before I bring my guest on. One is when you guys PayPal me, which I love, send it to Aspen Bose Sports, Aspen, S-P-E-N, Bose, O-S-E, Orts, A-O-T-S, at gmail.com through PayPal, and put it as friends and family. Don't put it as goods and services. I tell you why. Because PayPal, nasty PayPal, takes a fee, and then I don't get the $7 you're trying to send me. I get $6.50 of it, and I need the whole kitchen caboodle here. So please, when you're supporting podcasts via PayPal, if they don't have the donate button set up on their websites, please just send them as friends and family, because then we all get the kitchen caboodles of heaps of money, only kidding, that you're trying to send us. And as you guys know, podcasting is not an easy feat, and podcasting takes a lot of time and a little bit of money, but more time than money. So if you guys want to support me, please do it as friends and family, and how you can support me is in the show notes. Also, leading to my other programming notes, we now have fan gear, believe it or not, that I created on Zazzle.com. So if you go to Zazzle.com/AskWin, it should be there, and you can buy a t-shirt and support me, and that quota also goes to my PayPal, and that quota is $50 before they pay me. So they're going to hold me to $50 before Zazzle pays me, and that's how we're doing it. And please just keep supporting independent podcasters. And I'm going to bring Jonathan on, and Jonathan wants to share his story. Granted, he was on one of my favorite shows, well, used to be one of my favorite shows as a contestant, American Idol. I don't know if you guys have heard of American Idol, but Jonathan was on American Idol. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Jonathan take it away.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. I am so sorry to disappoint you. I was on America's Got Talent. I can't sing worth a hoot.
Geez. Oh, jeez. I read that wrong. Jonathan, I read that wrong. I somehow read American Idol. I got it wrong. I don't think I read the American portion. Got so excited, but I got so excited. I'm like, American Idol? And they're like, there we go. So America's Got Talent. Well, geez, what are you doing? How did you swing that deal?
Well, I've been performing as a mentalist, and that means I basically do a mind reading show. It's kind of like a magician's show, but graduating to just mind reading tricks. So for a long time, the producers would reach out to my college agent and say, hey, do you know anybody who would be good on the show? And eventually they got back in touch with me, and it all just worked out.
So basically, you swung that deal through someone else.
Yeah, they have the open call, right, where anybody can just show up and stand in line. But I didn't want to be on TV that bad. But they they kind of they
no,
put a call out to professionals. Yeah, and say, if you want to show up at this time, let's do that.
Yeah. I heard that behind the scenes of these shows, America's Got Talent and American Idol, that they don't always show the actors or people that applied the talent on TV. They normally record it. They normally tape it and show the good ones.
Right. The producers are in charge of the whole experience. The judges are there for kind of the process, right, of judging the acts. But the producers kind of find everybody. They filter through the open, the people that stood in line for so long. So the producers let more people through onto stage than make it onto air. So there are lots of performers that make it onto the show, but never make it onto the broadcast, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh. So, did you make it onto the broadcast?
Technically, I did, but it wasn't for my performance. My performance, I got 3 out of 4 yeses from the judges. Only Howie Mandel was the one who said no, but the producers didn't put my performing segment on. Yeah.
And Howie Mandel does that a lot. He says no a lot. The women say yes, please, yes, please, yes, please. And same thing with American Idol. The women say yes, please, and the men say absolutely not. Or on the occasion, you get a softie, and then they'll say yes, please. But basically, the men say no. And so that's what happened to you.
Exactly.
Howie Mandel. Thanks very much, Howie. Not to please, but it's okay.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
I want to ask you, if you had to be educated by anyone, who would it be and why, and inside or outside your field?
If I had to be educated by anyone, who would it be? I would love to be educated by Sun Tzu, the guy who wrote The Art of Warfare. I know it would be tough, and if I were back in the day, he'd be able to kill me really easily, but I think what he would have to teach is valuable enough to go through that, because every time that you're thinking about getting an effect or an outcome that you want, you're instantly in the realm of strategy. And a lot of people think about their skills and what they can do, but few people think on a strategic level. So if you can really understand the art of strategy, no matter what field you're in, it will help you out a lot.
So you want to be educated on the art of strategy? Yeah,
I would love a personal education from the great granddaddy of strategy, Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah. I apologize for the coughing attack, but I have had, believe it or not, and I didn't get allergies as a child, and believe it or not, I've been away from my teaching job for months, so it doesn't sound like a cold to you guys. It's adult onset allergies, believe it or not, and so that's what I've been dealing with for the month of April. I hope my allergies go away in May. I hope the rest of you that have adult onset allergies or allergies in general find relief in May, because that's really annoying. And I apologize for the coughing attack during Jason answering my question. But hopefully you guys will understand that I have adult onset allergy and there's nothing we can do.
No worries. And that's also one of the glories. That's one of the glories of fixing it in post. We can always edit out later.
Yep, we can always edit out later, but I try not to cough on my podcast. But on the occasion, it happens, and so editing in post comes to handy, but I think you guys know me well enough now that you guys pretty much put up with my podcast and cerebral palsy tendencies within that podcast. So, Jason, what is your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book it's got to be Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I read a lot of good books all the time, but that seems to be the one that I keep coming back to. And I read it about once every couple of years, and it seems like a different book every time I come back to it. So it's kind of neat to see how, as I change, what lessons I learned from it changes along with me.
And I want to ask you, what is the hardest part of running your business on a daily basis?
Ooh, the hardest part of running my business, well, it's kind of, it ebbs and flows, right? It could be quiet for a long time, and during that time, I'm sowing seeds, I'm reaching out to people, I'm planning, and then I'll be on the road for 2 months. And when you're traveling, when you're on the move, and you're asleep on a plane, it's difficult to keep doing the things that got you busy in the first place. So you kind of drop off the earth while you're traveling around, and you can't continue the business getting part of the business, right? So I'm in the business delivering part of my business, so it's kind of difficult to maintain the balance of the two, to sow while I'm reaping instead of sow and then reap and then going back and forth. So I guess the biggest challenge is to find those systems that I can put into place to work for me, even if I personally can't be the person to be doing it right then and there.
Well, that's a great plan to have those systems to work for you. And now, what is your biggest challenge being a mentalist and doing it in front of crowds? I guess I would say I'm going to sound like a real idiot because I'm not sure up until today what the heck a mentalist is or was up until today. So what is the most challenging doing this in front of crowds?
Well, a mentalist is, I like to say they're a mystery worker. Right? A mentalist is basically somebody who uses applied psychology on stage to make it look like they can read minds or predict the future or do any kind of psychic thing like that. So it's not that they're actually psychic, it's that they know how to use applied psychology to make it look like they are. Just like a magician doesn't actually have magical powers, but it really is a convincing demonstration. So that's been my interest my whole life, basically. I've been interested in why people do what they do, and that led me down the rabbit hole of how minds work. And once you understand that, you can get people to believe all sorts of peculiar stuff. But specific to the entertainment side of things, I guess the most difficult part is learning how to handle all sorts of different performing opportunities, performing environments, right? Because I'll show up at a place, especially working colleges. They'll say, "Hey, Jonathan, so great to see you. It's awesome. You're going to be performing in the cafeteria today at lunchtime."
Oh, boy.
Right?
Yep.
But they've got a fine art theater with full lighting and sound and a stage, and it's gorgeous. And they go, "Nope, we have a tough time getting students out to the theater. So, Jonathan, you're going to be in the cafeteria where there's maybe a microphone and speaker."
Throw it out. They just throw it out. Now, you guys, I'm actually doing a presentation that I shouldn't say sequestered to do this presentation, but I kind of got roped into doing this presentation, and it's not going to be a podcast, I can tell you that much, but it's going to be me doing a physical presentation on technology, but I can tell you right now, because I know the organizers. The organizers are not going to be the best at organizing presenters and giving us the right equipment. And so I'm kind of stuck in the space of Jonathan at the cafeteria. I'm like, really? You really want me to do this presentation on technology and how I use technology as a disabled woman, but and the day after my birthday too, which I'm perfectly fine with, but you need to set people up with the right technology. If you ask them to do this, Jonathan and I can work by the seat of our pants, thank God, but most people can't.
Right. That's always been a point I try to make with anybody who's booking an event. I like to say, look, I don't need a sound system. I don't need lights, and I don't need a great environment to do what I do. However, if you, the organizer, want to be a gracious host for all the people that you are inviting to your event, you want the people in the audience to be able to see what's going on and hear what's going on. And to do that, you need lights and a sound system and a stage that raises the action above the heads of all the people that are in front of you from the audience. So I never say it, look, I need this stuff. I always point out to them, you need this stuff to be a good host for the event that you're planning. And when I put it that way, they go, oh, I've never really thought of it like that. And then they thank me, and they usually do a really good job of making sure that stuff is there.
Yeah, well, we gotta teach people how to make other people feel comfortable, which that's the hardest part of being a journalist and a mentalist and a motivational speaker, because sometimes people do not get it. I mean, as we're recording this podcast, I am dealing with setting up this presentation right now, and they told me it's at these certain times. And I'm like, okay, give me the exact time. They said, we can't do it. And I'm like, hello? Do you think I can fly by the seat of my pants? Luckily, I can, but it's like, it would be nice if other people made other people feel comfortable, but that's okay. That's okay. That is definitely okay, because we know how to fly by the seat of our pants, and that's why Jonathan is a mentalist, and I'm the journalist who flies by the seat of her pants. And so, Jonathan, what is the best performance and the worst performance you have ever done?
Ooh, the best performance I've ever done. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I love them all. They've been. It's kind of strange. I remember the bad ones more than I remember the good ones, because the good ones you go, yeah, of course that went well. But it's the bad ones where you get booed by 1,200 people that really stick in your mind. Those are the lessons that really land forever in your mind. So I would have to say the ones that I enjoyed the most were going over to South Korea to entertain some of the troops stationed over there. This was several years ago. So that was a great time performing for people who really appreciated it. And walking out on that stage for America's Got Talent, that was pretty great. And it's just so neat. I get to see so much of this country in a way that most people don't. And I appreciate that every morning when I wake up, that I know it doesn't have to be this way. And it's a privilege for it to be this way. So I tend to wake up happy every day because my job is awesome. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm happy you say that, because I am walking away from a job that I absolutely love. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love teaching my kids. But I am walking away to an even cooler, more crazy job in journalism, because that's what I want to do. I want to be happy, and I want a decent paycheck. Teachers don't get paid enough. Jonathan and my fan base knows this, and it's like I'm talking squawk on the time. I have a colleague who shared his story on the podcast. So, and he actually works with me at my day job, and he gave up acting career to go into education and pursue his musical acting career that way. And when he told me that, I'm like, whoa, okay, we complain about the paycheck. Maybe I should quit complaining about the paycheck. But still, the paycheck is not that high. And lately, across the country, we've been having walkouts, particularly with teachers. And lately, here in Colorado, where I am, we've been having walkouts at the yin yang because of the pay. And so I'm walking into a job that I will love the rest of my life and hopefully get a higher paycheck out of it than teaching. Not to say that I don't love teaching kids. It's the paycheck I can barely live on. And when I looked at my income tax W-2, that was depressing. As I typed in $2,000 for a single 2017 year, and I'm like, this is depressing. This is depressing that I'm in Colorado. And then I'm working as a teacher, not as a full-fledged teacher, but still, this is depressing. So, okay, I have a question for you. What would you say to the person who's listening to this podcast, and it doesn't have to be nice, who is sitting in a cubicle and they don't like their job, and they're thinking, oh, I can be a mentalist, or I can be a journalist like Jonathan and win a house, how can I do that? And how can I get out of this 9 to 5?
It's the most important thing you'll ever do, because it's difficult and it's scary and it's going to seem impossible. And from where you are right now, it is, which means you're going to have to learn, you're going to have to invest, you're going to have to develop new skills that you don't have right now in order to do things you can't do right now. So being and doing what it is that you're doing right now isn't going to get you something different. So that fear of, well, I'll never blank, that's just fear talking. And every time that you don't take action to quiet that fear, you're just giving it more and more strength. You don't have to believe everything that is told to you, and you don't have to believe everything that you tell to you. And sometimes it's close to impossible to recognize those things that you're telling yourself that keep you stuck where you are right now, which is why it's so important to get a coach, to get a mentor, to have somebody who is already doing what it is that you want to be doing, to show you how they think, how they make choices, how they make decisions, and learn exactly how they do things. Because you could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out, or you could invest to get a teacher to show you the way and save you years of frustrations and failures and all of that stuff. So if you're scared saying, I don't know how to do this, well, somebody does, and then go make it worth their while to teach you how to do it. And that's the fastest way to totally change your life.
And that's why I'm getting a degree in journalism, because journalism doesn't seem like work to me, and homework doesn't seem like homework. It's just one aspect of it. And that's why I'm getting a degree in fashion journalism, so I could use my degree for the second time around and do something I love.
Right. Life is too short to not do what you want to do. And that sounds...
Exactly.
And it sounds like, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say because you're living a perfect life. No, it's like, I've gone through a lot. I've given up a lot. I've had to endure a lot. And I'm sure everybody who's listening has too, to be in a situation that they're in, whether or not they love it. So life is going to be tough, whichever way you live it. So at least live a tough life for a reason that you're excited about instead of one that makes you miserable.
Yeah, exactly. Now, where can the people find you, Jason? And then I'm going to let you play interview and do a Q&A with me.
Gotcha. Well, the easiest place to get in touch is to go to thinklikeamindreader.com. That's the website for my book, Think Like a Mind Reader, where I teach people about mindset and motivation and psychology, all that kind of fun stuff. And basically everything you would want to ask a mind reader, I put into that book. So that's where all the answers are. And if you want to send me an email and get connected on social media, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Now, what questions do you have for me?
Well, my favorite question of all time is just, what's something that you're excited about?
What's something I'm excited about? Well, if I could get these seasonal algae to go away, I would be excited. But I'm so excited to have 2019 get here so my journalism degree can be in my hot little hands, you guys. And then that's it. I'm not going back to school. No more school for Win, because school and Win do not get along. But when it comes to homework, yeah. When it comes to homework, it doesn't. I don't do that bad on tests. I just have a problem with the homework aspect. And of course, my program is just is 50% fashion, 15% journalism, and so I think what is going to happen is, even though I'm going to be a fashion journalist, I'm also going to be in the education space as a journalist. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited for 2019 to get here so I can have that journalism degree in my hot little hands, and you guys don't have to hear me complain about it anymore. So that's what I'm pretty excited about.
I love it. And since I'm on the move all the time, I also like to ask people, if you've done enough traveling, is there somewhere that you thought you would love and really didn't like it, or is there somewhere that you weren't thinking that you would enjoy that you actually had a great time and would recommend to somebody?
This is going to be, I'll give you the place I did not like at all, and I don't know why, because before I had my back injury, I used to travel a lot, and now not so much anymore, but I still like my airplanes, I still like my airports, but when I get the chance to travel, I take I seize the opportunity. Let's just put it that way. Give me travel money, and I'll see it, and I'll take it, and I'll just do everything I can. But one place I really did not like is Russia, and I just, it's like I went there when I was about, this would have been about 10, and we toured the Hermitage Museum, and granted, we had an English translator with us. Well, we looked at art for 2 days, and everyone else loved it. But 2 days in the same spot, and then I was in a wheelchair at the time because I could not walk the Hermitage, which used to be the summer castle in Russia, and now it's the Hermitage and the Winter Castle, and they use it as art museum. But I did not like Russia. I did not like how many weddings. Talk about marriages after marriages. I did not like how many weddings were involved. I did not like the Hermitage, and Russia right now would not be my choice to go back if someone gave me the money and said, do you want to go to Russia? No, thank you very much. And the political climate was a lot calmer than it is a lot worse than it was when I went to Russia. Thank God I went when I went. But a place that I really, really, really enjoyed, and this was, I think, 2 years after I went to Russia, was, believe it or not, Panama. As in the Panama Canal, because I got to see living history. Basically, I think at that time in high school, I was actually studying the locks of the Panama Canal, and I got to see the locks go up and down, and we took a beautiful helicopter ride over Panama City and seeing locks and just being on a cruise ship and sailing through the Panama Canal, and it was fascinating. So Panama is one of my favorite places on the planet, and I'm actually going to interview a content creator soon here who lives in Colombia, and that's how I got to go to Panama. With on this cruise, we stopped in Panama and Colombia, and those are just the prettiest places on the planet, even though the cruise ships don't do it anymore because they call it the drug cartel cruise. This is their knowledge, not mine. And
right.
Yeah. And so this is their pointing, not mine. And so they don't want to send all the tourists to drug cartels. And believe it or not, it's still bad. It's still bad coming out of Cartagena and drug cartels into India. So that's why cruises don't do it anymore. But when I did it, it was beautiful. Cartagena was interesting, and granted, I was like 11 when I did this. So keeping any 11, interested is a trick and a half. And so Cartagena was, Colombia is beautiful, and the people are so generous down there, and they still are. The Colombians I meet up here, up here, the tourists that are from Colombia that immigrated to the United States are beautiful people. But the reason why the cruise ship companies don't send the cruises down there anymore is because they call them the drug cartel cruise. And so Panama and Cartagena, Colombia are my two favorite spots on the planet. Russia, not so much, because these are spots for the two days, and looking at art as a 10-11-year-old and not understanding the language, which all my party spoke English, and the translator spoke English, but it wasn't very good. And so I think that Russia needs to go away. Russia needs to go away out of my passport, but send me back to Colombia again. I would be happy to go, and I want to, once I retire, I want to do a big trip to Paris or do something exotic like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I unexpectedly, but for me, I love food more than I thought I did, right? Because I enjoy eating different kinds of foods. In some of my friends who went to Russia a long time ago kind of had traditional Russian food, and they did not enjoy it at all. So that's not been high on my list of priorities either.
When we went to Russia, we actually, that's not true. We had lunch. I was going to say we ate on cruise ship, but no, that's not true. We had lunch in Russia, and I'm realizing with the language that of course I couldn't tell you what I had, but I'm realizing with the language and the cultural differences, Russian food is not my favorite either. And it's funny you mentioned that because, yeah, I could tell that they were trying to be nice to all these American tourists of a cruise ship, but it's, yeah, with the language barriers and the different cultures, the lesson not on my bucket list to go back anytime soon now, but now with the political climate with the U.S. and Russia, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. I agree.
Yep. So do you have any more questions for me?
Those are the ones that I wanted to make sure I got over to you.
Well, you talked about my other favorite subject, food and travel. You guys don't know I did traveling before the podcast, and if I wasn't stuck, I shouldn't say stuck, if I wasn't in my day job and could really get to my day job, which is writing books and producing content and being a content creator, give me money to travel and I will travel. And my bucket list is in 2019 to, after my graduation, is to go to wine country in California, which I'm so excited about because I have yet to go to wine country in California. And when I say wine country, Napa Valley, give me a nice glass of wine after my graduation. I'll be the happiest planet. I'll be the happiest camper on the planet because I love food and I love traveling and I love seeing new cultures. And I think, Jason, that is something that you and I will have in common for the rest of our lives, that we love entertaining people. Entertaining people is my biggest joy, and I know it's yours. And so, do you do one-on-one coaching, or no? That is just too much for these kids that want to become mentalists. And no, there's a degree in journalism, but I don't think there's a degree in mentalism.
No, there's not a degree in mentalism, but for coaching, I do some coaching for people. My speaking and kind of corporate training, I do for negotiation skills, presentation skills, communication skills, all that kind of stuff keeps me busy. So most of my coaching clients are local to Chicago for when I'm back in town for a good deal of time. So that way I can kind of be there in person, because I've found if it's just over email or even video conferences, people don't feel the same kind of accountability as, oh, he's going to be here in a week, I better do the work, because he's actually going to show up and spend his time being with me. So I want to respect that and actually do what he's asked me to do. But the number of times I work with people online and they go, well, I didn't get around to it. And then I always tell them, look, don't get angry at the results you don't get for the work you don't do.
Exactly. No, that's why I'm using my, one of my teachers who actually teaches communication. I'm using him as my accountability buddy, because if I didn't have this journalism degree go on right now, I would not be as strict as I am with myself. And that being said, I have to tell you guys that this podcast is used for national and international use, and I could be in hot water if I didn't say that. And Jason knows, and everyone should know this, if you accept the podcast and still know you're being recorded. I'm the only journalist on the planet who does say that you're being recorded most podcasters do not, and that's one of the things I learned in my communications class, that you could be hot water with anyone, including the U.S. government, if you don't say this phone call and this podcast will be used for international use. And I didn't realize that until I sat down in my communications classes one day, and my teacher said nice and loudly about that. So now I have to be really careful. I have to put that in my what I say on the podcast. So any podcaster that accepts an interviewee, the interviewee has to know they're being recorded. And I didn't realize that. No one teaches you that as a self. Jason is saying, well,
that's
because
a great idea.
He didn't realize that either. No one teaches you that as an independent podcaster, and no one teaches you that in the broadcasting field.
Right. Wow. Thank you very much for that heads up. I love that.
Yeah. Well, you might want to tell people. You might want to say, now, I don't know, because I know you get filmed a lot for a mentalist work. I don't know if it's the same way in filming, but you may want to look at that, and because I know I mentioned the Chicago landmark Second City. I know Second City is a famous Chicago comedy club, and yes, that's on my bucket list too, to go see something live at Second City. But I know they do a lot of social media, and I think they do filming as well for special presentations. And so you may want to look into that just to make sure everyone is following the P's and Q's, because if they're not, they can get in trouble. I know in the broadcasting field you can get in trouble.
Right. That's a great point.
Well, there's my public announcement, and a lot of people do not know that. And I'm actually going to be on podcast tomorrow, and I'm going to tell the podcaster who's interviewing me that, look, this is what you should do in the broadcasting media field. And so you may want to look into that when they're taping you, Jason, as a mentalist, just to make sure that you, everyone has their P's and Q's in order, because I don't want anyone to get in trouble, and no one tells independent broadcaster out there any of this until you sit down in journalism school. Then you get knocked up in the head by a saucepan by your journalism teacher, Mandy Stewart, out in San Francisco, and he goes, "Where?" He didn't tell me this personally. He said it in a side show. He goes, "You could be in trouble if you don't say what this purpose is, and if you don't tell the person they're being recorded, you can get in trouble with the person." And I'm like, oopsies. For the past 4 years, I thought, okay, this would be fine. But now that I'm a professional journalism, I have to mind my professional P's and Q's. So just throwing that out there to anyone, that you may want to ask anyone who's filming you or taping you, or they don't even do it in national public radio. They don't even say that. So you may want to ask the next presentation you give, do you want to tell me something before I say something that I should say? Because I know with these national broadcasts that they have their rules too, and so you may just want to make your P's and Q's mightily clear before you sign that contract. and I'm just throwing that out there, you guys. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but that's the way the professional journalist has to do it, and I'm going to keep my credentials and keep myself professional.
I love it. Yeah, it's always good to know more than not knowing.
Yeah, no, it's always great to know. And Jason, I thank you for the time. And you guys know this podcast will be coming out on Wednesday. I'll get home from working out and edit this podcast, then sit down and do my communications class, and then figure that one out. And so this podcast is coming out on Wednesday. If you guys want to support me, again, you can either go to Zazzle.com and buy a t-shirt that simply says Ask Win, or you can support me via PayPal, but do it as the friends and family, so I get the big chunk of change. Only kidding that you guys try and send me, although I have gotten like $50 in that, so I don't make that a requirement, you guys. That is optional, but that just helps me produce better content. And so if you guys want to send me PayPal, go right ahead to Aspen, ASPEN, Rose, RSE, or at gmail.com, AOTS, after Rose. And so you guys have fun with that one. I know you guys have PayPal's account. And I haven't tried the Patreon model yet. That's going to be my next little adventure in setting up a Patreon model, reactivating a Patreon model as soon as I get a break from journalism school. But I thank Jason for coming on and sharing his story, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I certainly did with Jason, and I hope you guys don't go running to your parents and say, I want to become a mentalist, or go running to your parents and say, I want to become a journalist just like Lynn. But mentalist, as I said, there's not a degree in that. I wish there was. I wish there was. There's a more of a degree in journalism than mentalism, but Jason is making a good living at it, and if you can make a good living at it, go with your heart's desire. And I thank you guys for joining Jason and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks to you guys.
Thank you. See, super easy.